Alright guys, I wanted to do a product review with you guys tonight on a particular item I bought off of Amazon. The part number on this is X004QH7S4F. The actual part number you'll see listed is TD00TD, 9-piece, half-inch drive, 5-inch long swivel socket set. One of the disclaimers is that it does not actually show you where it's actually made. If you research the information on Amazon, or if you ask the question on Amazon, where is it made, they don't answer the question. The information is not provided. It's actually made in China. That would have probably deterred me from purchasing this item. If it was made in Taiwan, I would have, had better expectations out of it. But it's not. So, but anyways, moving on. That shouldn't have any reflect on it, because there is a lot of manufacturers that are using the facilities over in China, and they're producing great, product. But most of my experience, as far as some of the stuff I bought off of Amazon, if it's made in China, is usually not that great. So inside the box here, we have some bubble wrap that actually protect the sockets from rolling around. Keep it contained inside the box so that they don't bang together, get scratched up, and everything else. We also have a EVA foam cutout here for our sockets for an organization, which is a great asset to put inside your box so it doesn't roll around. Keeps them organized and things of that nature. And once again, up here in the corner, you can actually see that the part number is actually printed in here. And just below here we have all the sizes, which is a half-inch extension bar, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. And as far as, the quality of this, just overall in the appearance, I have a few complaints. Right off the bat, one of the things I noticed when I got it, you don't really see in the picture, but if you look on the listings, on different listings, because they have 3 or 4 different listings for these guys, they're all the same thing, but you don't see this pin in here, and occasionally you see it looks shiny. This is actually a shoulder pin with a set screw inside of it. It looks like it's been ground down or pinged over. I don't foresee this lasting. You start impacting on this guy and it's just not going to hold up. You can see that it's cut away here around the ball, so gain more mobility as far as the angle, when you're trying to get up on something to try to impact it off. If you put your sock on this and you start hammering this, I really don't see this lasting with a good quality impact. If you're using a screw gun with a hex bit to adapt it to half-inch drive, yeah, maybe these will last, but a good quality impact gun is going to tear these up. If you move on to the next size in here, which is a 12, totally different process. It looks like it has a hardened black pin inside of it. It actually has a sleeve on the outside, so you ain't got to worry about it coming out. And if you're holding on to this or have this in your hand or anything like that, you ain't got to worry about it coming out and tearing your hand up. Not that you should have your hand in this area, but I mean, this is definitely a safety precaution. So I mean, I think this is made, these two I should say, are made in different facilities. Probably not made in the same facility, but they're obviously using a different process in making them. If they use the same process making this one as they did this, I would have more trust in this guy, but I don't. I don't foresee anybody breaking this one. This one's in their 12. Most of the time you're going to be doing caliper bolts. You're going to be doing skid plates, intake manifolds, things of that nature, exhaust manifolds. So you're probably not going to break this one. You're probably not going to break the 13. This one's made within the same process. Hardened pin, sleeve on the outside. You can see for an impact socket, it's fairly shallow. If you look on the other end of it, where the anvil actually goes in for the impact gun, you can see this guy is actually fairly, shallow as well. There's a lot of, there's not a lot of room up here. If you compare that to a regular half-inch extension, you see there's a lot more meat on this guy than there is this one here. One of the other things I don't like about it is the reduced diameter. This is actually a half-inch to 3/8 extension. We won't mention the brand name, but you can see this is more of a 3/8 diameter versus a 1/2 inch diameter. Even if you compare that to a 1/2 inch diameter socket, you can see that this is way smaller. This guy's smaller. If you compare that to a 3/8 extension, it's almost the same size. So I mean, I don't know. I don't foresee these guys lasting if you put a good size impact on it. But like I said, I don't foresee anybody breaking the 13. 14 and 15 are questionable because these are going to be one of the highest used ones out of the set. A lot of import stuff uses 14 millimeter intake manifold bolts, oil pan bolts, transmission bolts, transfer case bolts. Same thing with the 15 millimeter and your American stuff. And as far as 16 you probably never break it because you're probably never going to use it. There is a few Chrysler products out there that are using 16 millimeter, but not many. 17 millimeter, once again, we're into our European stuff. You'll be using this quite a lot, and at this point you're probably going to start breaking stuff if you use a good impact gun on this. Same with your 18, a lot of GM stuff. Once again, you start hammering away on stuff, torque converter bolts, transmission bell housing bolts, caliper bolts, things of that nature, you're going to break it. The same thing with this 19. The 19 has no difference in size from one to the other. If it is, it's very little. You would think they would at least increased in size, you know, diameter as they got bigger, but they don't. They're all the same size. I just don't foresee this lasting. Like I said, this right here is actually a fairly shallow socket. Not shallow, but actually the circumference of it, there's not a lot of meat around this. So this will fit in a lot of tight areas. I mean, that's one of the nice things about it. If you're using this in light duty, I don't foresee you breaking it, but like I said, if you plan on doing suspension stuff and things of that nature, I just don't see these holding up. I think the manufacturer did a good job actually, you know, making these. I just think the description is kind of misleading in my opinion. I think the reviews that are left are very misleading. Once again, that's just my opinion. To take it a little bit step further, I'm actually going to show you a few sockets that you just seen in the video and show you why I bought these and, you know, what they're usually used for. Most of the time, you know, we use these as mechanics. They're swivels. This is a straight extension. I believe it's a 6-inch extension with a swivel here, and you can see that, you know, it goes on. One of the things we run into is it tends to get hung up and they pop off and they fall off. That's what's great about these. Like I said, this is a 15 millimeter. If we compare the two here, we can already see that we've gained quite a bit of space and length here. We don't have to worry about the socket popping off anymore. Diameter is not much difference. It's actually less. So this is going to fit in a tighter area. This one I've had forever. It's held up. It's held up extremely well. This is what, you know, Gear Wrench calls X-Core, but this is actually a Matco. This was made by Armstrong. I've had this for years and have had no issues with it. I can definitely say from experience I'll probably end up breaking this within first couple of weeks of using it, doing some suspension work. I'm very confident about that. I don't foresee this holding up long term. If you're a weekend warrior, you'll probably have this set forever. But in my case, I just don't think it's going to last. And one of the things that I bought this kit for is it's described as being 5 inches. I believe it's a 5-inch extension with whatever length of socket, which is overall I think 6 inches. I bought these because they have these in 12 inches and they have these in 6 inches. So at any point in time, I can actually take and add to this, you know, make it longer, I can make it shorter. You know, if it's 12 inches, you're not going to fit it in a tight area, but being this short right here, this area is not going to interfere with anything in that tight area. So you can actually put this guy on here and hammer away, do whatever you need to, get transmission bolts, whatever it is that you need to do. So that was my reason behind buying these and not buying the 12-inch ones. And this is the only company I've seen that actually make these in what they call 5-inch. So that was one of the nice things about them. But at the same time, I just don't foresee it holding up, you know, as far as what I do for a living. Like I said, I'm going to take it a little bit step further. I'm going to show you the 18 as well. This is an 18. This is a 1/2 inch drive. This is a chrome, but you get the point. An impact's going to be just as big, if not bigger. You can see the size difference, the area that you can get it in compared to what you could get this guy into. So, big difference. Thinner diameter here, is going to give you quite a bit more access. The problem that you run into is the thinner this is, the less your impact works. This is going to take up a lot of vibration and everything else, so it's going to reduce the amount of torque you get to the bolt, where this thicker one's going to have more punch. Also, the punishment with where it's going to take it the most, the longer you beat on it, the more heat you put in it, it's going to take it right here and break this pin. So let me move on to the other one here I have, and this is actually a 1/2 inch. This is a 3/8 diameter, reduced down. It's one of the things that mechanics use here is a space saver as well. So we can get our small 3/8 sockets in there and have a little room around it to work and stuff like that. So I use this quite a bit. Not this particular extension. I have another one of these at the shop, but you can see this socket is well used, and it hasn't broke or anything like that. Like I said, this is a good quality socket. But the problem we're running into a lot of times, like I said, you get it up in there, it gets stuck on the bolt, you pull it out, and now you got to fish around for your thing. Like I said, you don't have to do that here. You see the diameter is the same here, but you can see the length here is going to be different. So you're going to fit this in tighter areas. So I hope that clears a few things up for a few people. But I will tell you a few things that I like about them. Like I said, one is the length of this particular item. Like I said, you cannot buy any other manufacturer in a shorter one than this. This is 5 inches, was the reason for buying them. Like I said, so I could add extension to it where I needed it, but then still had the diameter here that it would fit in a tight space. The other thing I like about them is they're actually stamped as well. So I'm not a big fan of the laser etching. It's highly visible, you can see it, but this tends to wear off, especially when it rubs against transmission cases, spinning it around, and it gets oil on it, and this rubs on stuff, and eventually this rubs that all off. So it's nice that they do stamp them. One of the other things is the diameter in here, this circle here. A lot of sockets are really thick. I mean, this is not really a good comparison here because this is actually a thin wall impact socket. But a lot of sockets you'll find that are extremely thick around this here. This one is extremely thin, so it's going to fit in a tight area. The diameter here, that they kind of reduced it down. It does have a pin on it here to kind of protect. If it breaks, it contains it. You don't have to worry about any of that coming out, hitting you in the face, cutting up your hands, or anything like that. If you have an impact that actually has a pin in it, you can actually put a pin through it and put an O-ring around it. So this is kind of a thing if you do foam pole work or bridge work or anything like that, and this is a particular socket that you use every day. It's kind of nice because you can put that on there, and it'll be tied to your rig with your D-ring, and this will be attached to your impact gun. You won't have to worry about losing it. So this is kind of nice as well. I'm not a big EVA foam guy, but I really like this case. I like the high visibility yellow. It's a small footprint it's going to take up in your box. But other than that, I mean, those are about the things I like about it, and those are the things I don't like about it. And like I said, one of the things that's really making me want to return this is the quality of this. This is just not going to last, and this is one of the main reasons I bought this. Not only came with all these sizes, but I could actually put a 1/2 inch socket on here and use this the same as this right here. It would still be a smaller footprint than this guy right here, and it's just not going to last. That's not a hardened pin. It's just not going to last. So even in the illustrations, if you look at a lot of the videos, you see them, they use a drill or a it's an impact gun. It's actually a it's like a drill impact gun, but it's not the same thing. It's a hex bit driver, and the driver actually is reduced in diameter. They reduced it from 1/4 inch all the way up to 1/2 inch drive, and then they're using it on this. So the videos in there are very deceiving, uh, and they're showing. And I believe in this particular video, they're actually showing mid-torque guns, a smaller gun that they're using on it. They're using it for a runner. They're not showing it taking things off or anything of that nature. So if you're doing a lot of suspension work or anything like that, something heavy, I just don't foresee this, lasting. And that was my problem with, as far as people left the reviews. I don't think it's a bad product. I just don't think it's a 5 out of 5, and I just don't think it's going to last for the mechanic that's been doing this for 30 years. It may last for the weekend warrior if you got one job to do. It may last if you take a warranty out with Amazon and you call them up or you send them an email and say, I need a new set, I broke the socket. Maybe that'll work for you, but that really don't work for me. Especially when I got tools here that's lasted me, almost a lifetime with a lifetime warranty. So if I get on a tool truck and I break this, they still manufacture us today, even 30 years later. Same with the socket to replace it. That doesn't really go the same for this guy right here. This is a Cowhawk. This is actually a backup set that I have in case I break any sockets that I have. I do a lot of suspension work, stuff like that, and on occasion I do break my snap-on one, and I do need to get into tighter places. If you have a snap-on set, you know what I'm talking about, because the length here is way longer. Excuse me. So I did buy a cheaper set, and this was just kind of like, if I can't get it in there, if I break the socket, I can get the job done. They weren't expensive. I figured I'd take a gamble on them, and so far they've done their job, but I do not use these every day. So once again, this is a cheap quality set, and I believe these are made in Taiwan. It says Cowhawk USA, but I'm pretty sure the box said made in Taiwan. So it's a little bit better quality than what you're going to get out of this set here. But that's where I'm going to leave it off with you guys. You can form your own opinions. I just want to leave an honest review. And for those that are wondering what I'm going to do with this kit, I'm going to send this kit back. Like I said, I am not impressed with it, and the dead giveaway for me was this right here. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. And so what I'm going to actually do is probably buy Snap-on sells an extension that has a swivel on the end, like this one here. I believe it's $200 for a set. It comes with a 6 and 9-inch extension, I believe. It is ridiculously priced. It's probably $230 or $260. But I think it's going to be well worth it in my situation, because this is just not going to, get it done. Like I said, this is more of a one-time use, weekend warrior, or a runner type thing. Like I said, if you're using them with the 15 millimeter, I don't think you're going to have an issue, but 16 millimeters on is where you're going to notice the problem, especially with Loctite, corrosion. And if you're using a Milwaukee impact gun, a real Milwaukee impact gun, not a bit, driver, So if you're using a real impact gun on these, I just don't think they're going to last. So like I said, that's where I'm going to leave it off, and let you guys form your own opinions. Like I said, I didn't trust them. I'm not giving this a bad review, but this isn't a professional type tool. So we'll leave it at that. Alright guys, you have a good night. I'm going to button this up and get this ready to send back. All in all, I think that's going to do it. Have a good night.